It all began at a high-profile Silicon Valley fundraiser hosted by a tech billionaire known for extravagant events and exclusive guest lists. The setting was luxurious, a rooftop garden surrounded by glowing drones and ambient techno jazz. Included A-list celebrities, top politicians, and tech giants. Among them were California Governor Gavin Newsom and Tesla CEO Elon Musk. The two had traded barbs in the media before. This was their first face-to-face meeting in months. Tension sparked immediately as Newsom raised his glass and approached Musk's table, flanked by aides and lobbyists. "Still trying to play Tony Stark?" Elon said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. Musk, unfazed, replied coolly, "And you're still pretending California is a utopia?" Laughter broke out nervously among the crowd, unsure if they were witnessing banter or battle. Newsom stepped closer, voice dropping slightly. "Oh, these stunts of yours, moving companies, slamming the states. Getting old. There's talk. Big talk." Musk raised an eyebrow. "Talk from bureaucrats who can't run a DMV?" Newsom leaned in more, trying to seize the moment. "Do you think you're bigger than California, Elon? Do you think tech bros and Twitter fame make you untouchable?" Musk didn't blink. "No," he said. "I think ideas matter more than political threats." That simple response immediately quieted the group. The tone was no longer playful. The energy had shifted. Newsom, perhaps thinking he had the crowd's favor, escalated. "You're not above the law, and you've poked a lot of bears. You've left behind factories, workers, environmental obligations. Maybe it's time someone reminded you of consequences." Musk remained still. "Consequences like crushing innovation under red tape?" he asked. "I moved because you overregulate, overtax, and underdeliver. The math doesn't lie, Gavin." Newsom clenched his jaw, visibly irritated now. "You always reduce everything to math and logic. But real people live in the chaos you create." Musk stood up slowly, his voice low but sharp. "Real people suffer from bad leadership, not electric cars or rockets." The audience was now frozen, watching a showdown unfold at this point. Someone in the crowd tried to intervene with a toast to lighten the atmosphere, but Musk waved them off. "No need," he said. "We're just clearing the air." Newsom, clearly agitated, stepped forward again. "You built your empire here. We made you possible. Don't forget who helped you rise." Musk chuckled softly. "California helped." "No. California taxed, sued, and regulated until we had no choice but to leave. I rose in spite of you, not because of you." The words cut deep, and for a moment, Newsom was visibly stunned. A rare silence fell across the gathering, broken only by the sound of champagne flutes tapping nervously on glass tables. Musk continued, his tone more passionate now. "I employ thousands. I innovate. I take risks. You play safe in press conferences. That's the difference. I build the future. You defend the past." Newsom was speechless, struggling to counter the raw clarity of Musk's words. "You think this is easy?" he finally muttered. "You think governing millions is just slogans and smiles?" Musk replied. "No, I think it's about accountability. And so far, California leadership has avoided that with expert skill." The moment was no longer about ego. It had evolved into a philosophical clash between vision and structure, between freedom and control. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. Then came the moment that changed everything. Musk paused, looked around the room, and said, "You say I abandoned the state? But I've donated millions to education, paid billions in taxes, and created thousands of jobs, something Sacramento still struggles with. I'm not the villain. I'm the wake-up call." The crowd murmured in agreement. Newsom, visibly shaken, seemed caught between anger and disbelief. Musk's voice softened. "I don't hate California. I grew up loving it. Hate what it's become. Hostile to creators, dreamers, and doers." That line struck a chord. One guest wiped away a tear. Another nodded slowly. Even Newsom's staff exchanged glances. The tension had transformed into reflection. Newsom looked at Musk, eyes glistening slightly, not with tears of sorrow, but from the sting of undeniable truth. "So what now?" he asked quietly. Musk didn't hesitate. "Listen, instead of posturing, lead instead of managing optics." The moment was raw, real, and unexpectedly emotional. "I never wanted war," Musk added. "I wanted progress." "I still do." Newsom nodded faintly, the bravado drained. For the first time that night, he seemed vulnerable not as a politician, but as a man overwhelmed by the realization of his own limitations. The crowd gave soft applause, not for show, but in acknowledgement of an honest, necessary confrontation. The event continued, but the tone had irrevocably changed. Conversations shifted from luxury gossip to infrastructure, schools, innovation, and leadership. Guests approached Musk privately, thanking him for speaking truths they had long whispered but never voiced aloud. Newsom, meanwhile, stayed in the background, quieter than usual. Later that evening, he reportedly told an aide, "Maybe it's time we actually listened to some of these guys." Really listened. The story hit the press within hours, sparking headlines across the country. Musk and Newsom clash at fundraiser. Reality check in Silicon Valley, and Elon Musk leaves California's governor speechless. The footage went viral in under a day. Social media exploded. Supporters of Musk celebrated his boldness, calling it a masterclass in standing up for vision. Critics of Newsom demanded policy change and accountability. Political commentators praised the encounter as a rare moment of truth in an era of spin. Musk trended for days, not for a launch or a tweet, but for a confrontation rooted in principle. He later tweeted, "I don't fight people, I challenge ideas. And I challenge them when they threaten progress." That one sentence was shared over 10 million times. Meanwhile, Newsom gave a press statement, more subdued than usual, saying, "I heard some hard truths this week. I'm thinking about them." The end, it wasn't just a clash of Titans, it was a mirror held up to modern leadership. Musk didn't seek applause, he sought clarity. And Newsom, though rattled, walked away with the seeds of reflection. The night's confrontation sparked. More than gossip, it triggered dialogue in boardrooms and Capitol halls. It reminded the world that leadership isn't just about holding office, it's about courage, listening, and the willingness to hear uncomfortable truths. The night Gavin Newsom tried to intimidate Elon Musk became the night he learned that power isn't in titles, it's in truth. And sometimes that truth hits hard enough to bring even the proudest leaders to tears.